All right, cool, cool. All right, well, it's 9 o'clock. We'll go ahead and get started, man. Since we only got, there's only four of us. Caleb, I know you already have done some real estate. Taylor and Lex. Let's start with Taylor first. Taylor, take you off mute. Have you done any wholesale deals? You know anything about wholesaling?
Just what you guys talked about pretty much in the video so far. So very brief, but still trying to learn.
Okay. Did you get a chance to see that first video I did like 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Okay, so you got able to take a look at that and kind of get a gist of it. We're going to do a brief overview, and then we're going to get into today's section. Appreciate your input, Jeff.
Definitely.
Cool. And let me take Lex. Lex, take you off mute here.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Do you know anything about wholesaling?
I know a little bit about wholesaling.
Okay. All right, cool. Have you had any deals closed yet?
No.
No? Okay. All right, perfect. All right, thank you. Thank you for being here as well. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit, go a brief overview. Like I said, Caleb, I already know that you know wholesaling, you've done deals before. We're going to go over a brief overview of the wholesaling process. And then we're going to go, I'm actually share my computer screen, and we're going to talk about ARVs and how to find ARVs and all that type of stuff. So let's rock out with this real quick. All right, so wholesaling process. What's going on, Ty? So the wholesaling process, brief overview. We're going to, our jobs as wholesalers, as investors, our jobs are here to find houses that are broken, right? That the windows are broken out of them. They're ugly houses, okay? And because they're ugly houses, most people don't want them. And so for a number of reasons, people are willing to give these properties up. If you guys heard Caleb talking about it, we're going through a probate issue. Someone passes away and the house goes through probate. And then all of a sudden it becomes a burden, right? Because now let's say someone owns that property or someone passes away and gives it to Lex, they give it to you, it's willed to you, or go through the probate process and it's given to you. And now you have this ugly house that you can't live in, right? You can't live in this house, but you still got to pay taxes on it. Okay. So you got to pay taxes on it. You probably should be paying insurance on it. Right. And so this thing is costing you money, and you have the headache as if squatters are living in it, if they set fire to it, if someone gets hurt in it, if someone dies in it, all those liabilities are on your shoulders, right? And so sometimes they're like, you know what? I know if I fix this property up, if I spend $50,000 into it, I can make a lot more money, but I don't want to do that, or I don't have the means, or don't know how to do that. And so they'll sell it at a deep discount, right? So they'll sell this property cheap, right? Pennies on the dollars, like sometimes you hear people saying that. And then on the other end, we have investors, right? These investors have dollar signs in their eyes, right? They got money, or they have access to money, okay? And so they have access to money, and they are flipping properties, and they need properties like this in order to make money. Caleb, I think you said you've done a flip before. So if you've done a flip before, you know that if you do a flip and you make profit, if you've had that property for less than a year, you have to pay capital gains taxes on it. Okay, so a lot of investors want to do a 1099 exchange, and they want to put that money into another property. That way they can avoid capital gains taxes. Well, if you're flipping properties, and if you're flipping them successfully and you got a couple of them, or you're working a full job and you're flipping on the side, you know that you have a hard time finding the next property. The next property is kind of difficult to find. So that's where we kind of come in as wholesalers, right? We stand here in the middle, right? And we kind of facilitate this deal, right? So we talk to this person here. We talk to the seller. The seller gives us control of the property, right, through a contract, okay? just going to put CON so you guys can take notes here. So they're giving us control on the contract for a certain amount of money. So let's just say this person is going to sell us this property for $30,000, 30K. And this contract, we have it that they're going to sell it to us for $30,000. So this contract right here is between me or the wholesaler, you, and that's supposed to be a dollar sign, me and the seller here, okay? Now there's going to be another contract. This is called an assignment contract, okay? So I'm going to put an A here, but you can write down on your notes, assignment contract, CON. Okay, and this contract, basically what I'm doing here is I have this contract for this house for a certain amount of time. Normally it's like 30 days. Okay, you want to get it as long as you possibly can, but typically it's 30 days. What I want to do now is I control this property. This homeowner, excuse me, if Caleb's the homeowner, Caleb just gave up his rights to this house for 30 days or for however long this contract says in the exchange of $30,000 promised within the time frame of that contract. Does it make sense? Okay. If it doesn't, you guys can take yourself off mute because we got a small group, so you guys can kind of take yourself off mute and ask questions. So he's saying, listen, Tommy, I'm willing to give you control, relinquish the control of my house for $30,000 promised within 30 days. I know you can't pay me the $30,000 right now, but in 30 days, I expect to get paid $30,000 in this particular case. So that gives me 30 whole days to find this guy or girl who has money that wants to buy an ugly house like this. And in order to protect myself, I am going to assign them this contract. So investor over here, right, fix and flipper, because we're all investors, but the fix and flipper, right, they need to get control of this contract. Okay, right now I'm in control of it. That means I can either buy it for $30,000 or I can assign it to them. So I'm going to assign this one to them, let's just say for $40,000, right? So we see the difference here of 10K, right? So I got it for 30. I'm going to give it to them, this investor, for 40. In return, when we go to closing, right? When we go to closing, $10,000 is going to go to me, okay? And $30,000 is going to go to the seller. Now, as you can see in this process, none of my money was ever at stake. I'm not putting any money up. I'm just finding this person, getting under contract, and then selling it for more than what I got under contract for. So this brings us to today's lesson. How do I know that this number right here, this 40K, how do I know that this number is a good number for this investor to buy? Okay. This is super, super important. This number right here is what we call our MAO, okay? Our maximum allowable offer. Make sure you guys are taking notes and write this stuff down, right? Maximum allowable offer. That means, if I could, I might be able to take this deal. If I got it for 30, and if it's in a hot neighborhood, I might be able to, I'm sorry, scratch that out, my bad. This is our MAO, the 30K, MAO. I knew something wasn't right with that. So this is our MAO. So meaning that this is the most that I'm willing to offer this particular person in order to make money. Now, this is if I want to make $40,000. I'm sorry, $10,000, right? The difference between 30 and 40. So if I was cool with making $5,000, I could make my MAO $35,000. But there's going to come a point where the money is plus the repairs is not going to be worth the headache and hassle of flipping this house. So how do I know where that number is? Wholesaling, all numbers start with the ARV. It's called the after repair value. Okay, so after repair value, ARV. You're going to hear that number over and over again, okay? I want you to understand that the ARV is very specific. The ARV after repair value is very, very specific. What that ARV is properties that have been renovated. And this is exactly how I identify it, or I categorize it. Everybody's pretty much seen HGTV. How does this happen? I don't know what's going on my screen here. Everybody's pretty much just seen HGTV, right? So if you've seen HGTV, you know what those type of houses look like when they're done with them. They look really, really nice, right? They're the modern colors. They're the modern open floor plan now. They're the stainless steel. They're the granite countertops, right? After repair value. That's different, or it could be different from what most people hear are the comps. So a lot of times people will say comps, but comps can be, you're comparing it to before repair, or you're comparing it to after repair, or you're comparing it to somewhere in between, right? So when you talk to people, you have to make sure, this is what's going to set you guys apart. I'm telling you, I promise you, I've run into so many wholesalers that don't understand this. They just think comps are the exact same thing as ARV, and they are not. Comps could be ARV, but ARV is not always comps. Does that make sense? So the comps could be the same thing as the ARV if they're comparing them to houses that have been renovated nicely. If they're comparing them to houses that haven't been renovated, if all the houses in that neighborhood, the last time they were renovated were like in the 90s, right? And then you got one house that was done really nice, all right? And they pull those comps, it's going to be completely different numbers, okay? So you have to understand what the ARV is, because everything is based off of ARV. Everything is based off of ARV. I'm going to show you how to find that in this module, in this course right here, this class I'm doing tonight, using some free tools, using what everybody knows is Zillow. So there's a couple of ways of doing this. Let me just try to create some of that. Is everybody, you can take yourself off mute. Everybody got all this written down? Does this make sense to everybody? Except for this part, don't write that part down, because I was wrong on that part. Everybody good? Good. Going once, going twice. I'm gonna erase it. All right. We should be able to erase all of it, huh?
Is everybody else taking notes?
Yeah, clear. What's that?
Well, wait about it.
What'd you say? You need me to go back, Ty? Oh, I don't know. All right. So this is what kind of threw me off there. This is what I need you guys to understand. So we can find this ARV a couple different ways, but really it's one or two ways, right? Let me see, let me see here. Okay, cool. All right, so we can do this in one or two ways. So number one, which is, we're gonna give you some homework on this, is I want you to get in contact with the real estate agent, okay? I'm just gonna put real agent. I'm saying real estate. I want you to start getting in contact with a real estate agent, okay? Specifically, because we're all new here, right? Specifically, a real estate agent is probably a young agent. A young, when I say young, not really so much, not so much the age-wise, okay? But someone who is a young agent in the game, like they just got their real estate license and they're hungry, all right? This has been, in my experience, these are the people that are gonna wanna kind of help you out, because you're new, you're gonna make a whole bunch of mistakes, you're gonna have people running around and they're not gonna be deals. So you need someone who's kind of like in the same position that you are, where you're new and you're making mistakes. And what you're gonna offer them is you're gonna say, listen, I'm wholesaling properties, I'm finding off-market properties. And from time to time, I'm going to need people to run the ARV. Most likely they're going to call it a comp, right? So you're going to say, hey, I'm going to need you to run the ARV, the after repair value on these houses, and be very specific. You're looking for houses that have been repaired recently, okay? And so one of the things that you can offer them is say, I wholesale these properties. They might not even know what wholesaling is, which you can explain it to them now. And then once you explain to them, what's going to happen is you offer them this and say, listen, once this house is flipped, once my investor buys this house, flips it, you then have the opportunity, they're going to have the opportunity to be the listing agent. Okay. So their eyes are going to light up because they're brand new. I keep doing the 8. I don't know why I can't spell that right. They keep, their eyes are going to light up because there's an opportunity for them to sell for an investor, right? And if you're a real estate agent, then you want that, okay? So real estate agent, you got to give them their reason for why they want to be here, right? And so one of their reasons is that they're going to be able to make money on the back end. They might not make any money on the front end, but they're going to be able to make money on the back end if they can become the listing or selling agent, okay? The other thing is the benefits. This is important because this is how you get them to do this, and then you can avoid number 2, which I'm about to show you here. The other thing on the back end is they can get into an investors network, okay? So investors network is super important because investors, especially if they're a big investor, they're buying, selling multiple properties every single year. And the average, if you guys don't know this, the average real estate agent, the first year only sells about 1 property. That's nationwide. On average, real estate agent only sells, and I'm a real estate agent. So the average real estate agent only sells 1 property the first year. Okay. So if they get into an investors network where investor is flipping 2-3 houses every, quarter, then that would be a big benefit for them because then they can get into that world. Okay. So you can't come to these real estate agents and ask them to do this because it does take some work and it does take some time, right? With coming empty-handed. So these are your reasons why you're going to do this. And you're going to basically ask them, hey, when I find a house, can you run the ARV? Can you get me good comps on these? They're probably going to call them comps, but make sure they just understand that they're comparing it to properties that are brand new. The second way of doing this, which I'm going to share my screen here and go over, is through some of the free software that everybody has access to, or websites, Zillow, okay? And I'm going to show you kind of a crude way of running your own comps, all right? So we're going to go ahead and get right into this. Let me, new share, desktop. All right. Let me go. All right, so I picked out a couple of properties already for you guys. Everybody can see my screen, right? Just put in the chat if you can see the screen, my computer screen. I just want to make sure you guys can see it. Yeah, let's do this one right here. All right, so actually, let me start from here. Everybody can see my screen? Anybody? Lex, can you see my screen? Can someone answer? I just want to make sure that you guys can see this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, so here's first things first. Obviously, everybody knows Zillow, right? You go to Zillow.com. This is how it's going to open up. And you're going to put in a particular address. But before you put in that address, a lot of times when you get on the Zillow, this is what's going to be checked off. No matter if you do this on your phone, I do this a lot from my phone. All right. You just see the red or blue or purple or yellow dots. The red dot is for sale, right? These are houses that are actively on the market that people are trying to sell. Obviously, these are potential listings. For rent is the purple, and then recently sold is the yellow, okay? What I want you to do, you're gonna have to do this every single time because I don't know why this happens. Sometimes on Zillow, maybe 7 out of 10 times, your settings are gonna stay perfect. Maybe even 80% of the time, 8 out of 10 times, your settings are not gonna change. But there's like 2 times out of every 10 or so that your settings, even though you left them perfect, they're going to change. I don't know why. So you just got to make sure, you just got to double check because it'll mess your numbers up. So these are the settings I want you to do. I want you to make sure that you uncheck for sale. So no red dots. You shouldn't see any red dots. If you can see here, I have red dots on my screen here. As soon as I uncheck it, no red dots. I want you to uncheck the blue dots, uncheck the purple dots, and the only thing I want checked is the yellow. Super important, okay, for right now. There's some other techniques I can show you when you use the red dots and the blue dots, But for right now, to keep it simple, we're going to just only have this, okay? Cool. Next thing, right down the line, as you go right down from left to right, you're going to go ahead and keep your price open. So you want your minimum to maximum. You don't want to minimize the smallest amount that was paid for in this area. And you don't want to say, hey, I only want to go to a certain amount. You want to see the whole gamut, okay? Bedrooms, I know some people freak out about this. Just leave it at 0, because the price, the way that I'm going to show you how to find this ARV or these comps is the price per square foot model, okay? And then home type. Now, if you're looking, let's say somewhere downtown, or you're looking somewhere where there's a lot of condos or apartments, then yeah, then you check on these. But if you know your subject property, I'm just getting to the reference point of knowing what that is. Your subject property is the one that you found and that you're trying to wholesale. It's the one that you're trying to sell. Okay, so we're just going to refer that from now on as the subject property. All the other properties are going to be comps or ARV 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay. So if our subject property is a house, then obviously we only want to see houses. I don't want to see lots. I don't want to see manufactured houses or townhomes. I only want to compare houses. So that one's there. Next thing over here, let me see if this is in the way. Bathrooms, again, leave it at 0+. This means anywhere from 0 to 10 million bathrooms, right? It's no matter how many bathrooms are in the house. Square feet, I don't care. Leave it from minimum to max. Lot size, any, year built. Minimum max, HOA, any, I don't care. This is the only thing that really needs to change, okay? And I'm gonna put 6 months on it, okay? In 6 months, typically if I'm running this on a MLS, if I'm looking at the MLS, I'm only gonna do 3 months. But because Zillow doesn't capture all of the data, all of the houses, like in this area right here, I guarantee you if I was to pull this on MLS, there were more houses that were sold in this area than that Zillow's showing, but Zillow is only showing a small area, a certain amount of houses, okay? And I'm gonna hit apply. Once I hit apply, all my settings are now correct. So this is super, super important, guys. Super, super important that you have these, because I can't tell you how many times I've had people do this and one of their settings was off and it throws off all the numbers, okay? Now, we're gonna pick an address. All right, let's say our subject property is 318 Glenwood Ave. I think this is it right here. Yeah, all right. Actually, let's not do this one. Let's use one that's in that area. Let's say our subject property was, let me see if I can do this here. 330 Glenwood Ave. Let's say it didn't look like this, because this one looks like it's already been, yeah, this one's definitely been rehabbed already. So let's just say that this is our subject property, right? And we want to know, let's say right now you don't have a price on this. You just rode by this house and this house is completely vacant. The windows are busted out. That's exactly what we were talking about in that first slide, right? And I want to know how much are these houses going for in this particular neighborhood, okay? So what we're going to do here is we're going to zoom out, okay? Zoom out to right about this point right here, okay? So our subject property was this one that's right here. I don't know if you can see where that little house is right there in that area, just to the right of this yellow dot. And what you're going to look for, appraisers typically, if they can, this is the way appraisers work. They're going to find at least 3 properties that are close in proximity. And now they have a lot more tools that you just don't have access to, okay? But with the limited amount of tools that you have, you can get into a ballpark of how much this house should sell for after it's repaired, okay? If you have this type of data, all right? So they're gonna figure out, they're gonna figure out how many rooms it are, how many rooms and bathrooms. They're gonna add or subtract from the price, depending on how many rooms and bathrooms. We're just going off of price per square foot, okay? And there's some rules to this, but we're gonna get into it here. So our subject property is here, and we can see immediately that we have a couple of houses that are in close proximity. Here's one thing, make sure you write this down. You want all the houses that you are comparing it to be within a half-mile radius. So 0.5 miles or less. half-mile radius, especially in the city, okay? If it's in the city, it needs to be within a half-mile radius, because a mile away, it can be a completely different, you know, it could be a completely different neighborhood. Even a half-mile away can sometimes be a completely different neighborhood. But appraisers, if you can only find two, they'll do two in and one out. What do I mean by that? They'll do two that are close, and then they'll allow one that's outside of that half-mile radius. But if there's three of them that are all within that half-mile radius, that makes sense. They're going to use those first before they go outside. Make sense? So what I'm going to do here, make sure you guys have a pen and paper because we're actually going to do this live. I'm going to write this here on my board here. So our subject property is the one that's over here, but we see immediately that this house is right next door. It's on the same exact street. So I'm going to click on this house. One of the first things I want you to notice, I want you to look for is the house renovated already, right? Because what did I say in the beginning? I said in the beginning that we need to make sure that the house is renovated, 2019 HGTV style, okay? So what I'm going to see here, I'm going to go here. If it has pictures, I'm going to look at the pictures. Obviously, this house looks like it's renovated, right? Looks like it's a pretty good, decent home, right? So we'll go through the pictures. Okay, this is a renovated house. I don't really need to go through all of them. As long as I see that it's renovated, cool. This one's a good one for me to take down. Now, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to write down the address. Let me write this down on my board. 318 Glenwood. And I'm going to write down the important things that I need you to write down is this square footage, which is 1,134 square feet, and the sale price. Okay, so it's sold for $335,000. Now, Zillow makes it super easy for you, but I want you to still be able to do it. I want you to understand what you're doing. All right, all we're doing is we're trying to find out how much this house sell for per every square foot of that house. How much was each square foot of that house worth? Okay. So all we're going to do is we're going to take this 335,000, put it into your calculator. Let me see if I pull up my calculator here. So we're going to take that $335,000. Where's this at? Right? And it was 1134. We're going to divide it by 1134. It's going to give us $295.41. Normally, I just do like the dollar amount, okay? So $295, that means each square foot of that house was worth $295.41. Does it make sense? Right? I need you to write that number down. Write down 200, just write down 295. Don't worry about the 41 cents. 295, okay? Let me go back to my thing. So this is subject property. I'm sorry, this is comp 1 or ARV 1, okay? Make sure that you have the address, 1,134 square feet, sold price. You can put down the date as well. That also is helpful. And then the price per square foot, which we just did, was $295, right? Everybody got that, right? Pretty simple. We're going to go and do that. We're going to repeat that 2 more times for a total of 3 comps. So we got one right here. Now this one right here shows that it's for rent, and the thing is showed that it was for sale. Sometimes they'll do that, and you just go down here to home value. I'm sorry, not home value. Where is it? Price. All right, so we can see here on September 19th, the house was listed for sale for $399,000. I'm sorry, not listed. It actually sold for $399,000, right? So now what do we have to do? We have to find out how big the house is, 1680. So 1,680, and it sold for $399K, and we're doing 300 Glenwood, right? So somebody, Taylor, let me take you off mute here, and tell me what you got for that. What did that break down to, that price per square foot?
to be honest, Tommy, I'm sorry. I'm at work, so I
Oh, okay.
wasn't even able to take notes.
Okay. I got
So
you.
I'm listening more
Got
so.
you.
But
All
I'm
right.
sorry.
No problem. All right. Who else can do that for me? Who's Cam? Are you there, Cam? Were you in there, Cam? You can't come off mute.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Well, hold on. Who's that?
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Kind of barely though.
Froze. Hold on. All right, I can hear you now. I can see you now.
Perfect. All right. So that house at $399 will be my price per square foot.
All right, let me pull out my calculators. 399 divided by 1680 square feet.
Yep, 399,000 divided by 1680.
That's $238 per square foot.
Cool. All right.
238.
So we'll just put it in here. So we just not to say that you're wrong. I just want to show everybody $399,000 divided by 1680. 237.50. All right. So if anything, I like to err on the side of caution. So instead of going to 238, I probably would just round down to 237. You understand? Because you always want to think. You always want to think from the investor, the end investor standpoint. Okay. Like if you were flipping it, you want to just kind of be cautious. And if you get more money, great. If you get a little less, you don't want to do that. So I'll put it down to 237, me personally. But good info. All right. So the next one, we're just going to do the exact same thing one more time, and we're going to figure this thing out. And I'm going to kind of close and show you this thing out. So we got this house right here. Now our subject property is, so we had a 2-bedroom here, we have a 3-bedroom here, and we got this one right here. That's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. A lot of people won't use this, and you could probably use this one. This is a 3-bedroom. I think our subject property was a 3-bedroom. This will probably give you a better indicator. So only because it's our subject property, which was right here, was a 3-bedroom, would be why I'll use this one. But let's just say you want to use this one. Let's say these weren't here to factor in, right? You could still use this number right here, right? You're going to do this $500,000 divided by 1845. So 500K, where's my calculator? 1845. 500 divided by 1845. All right, we got 271. 271. Okay, we put you back on mute. Got the little one there. All right, you already did it. Cool. So we got 271. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to take those three numbers. So we got a 237, we got a 295, I believe, and a 271. So let's clear this out. $271 per square foot plus $295 per square foot plus 237 per square foot. Okay, we're gonna hit equal. Now it comes out to 803. So all we're doing is finding the average. So I know I'm gonna go through this like it's very basic. There's some people I've taught this to and they didn't understand how to find the average. So all you're doing is you're adding up all of the price per square foot and you're dividing it by however many comparable houses you looked at. So if we looked at 5 houses, we would be dividing this number by 5. We would add up all 5 price per square foot and divide by 5. Because we're doing it with 3 houses, we're going to divide this number by a 3. So we're getting $267.66. 267.66. Okay, and I'll probably just run it to 267. Okay. Now, what we have to do here is we have to go back to our subject property. Let's zoom back in. Remember, we're just pretending that this property right here, we're just pretending that this property was our property. It didn't look like this. The windows are busted out. It's an ugly, ugly house. We're just pretending, right? But what I'm concerned with here is the square footage. Okay. All I'm doing right now is I'm going to take that 267, let me write down this number, 1,134, right? All I'm doing is I'm taking that $267 and I'm timesing it times this number right here. So I'm going to do 267. I'm going to get rid of that 66 cents times 1,134. All right. It's going to give you 302,778. So just to recap what we're doing here. We're trying to find out how much should this house sell for based off of what the average houses are selling for in a particular neighborhood for every square foot of house. So for every square foot of house that have sold within the last 6 months in a very, very close proximity to our subject property, every one of those average sale price was $267.66 per square foot. So then we can safely assume that our particular subject property of 1,134 square feet should sell for about 302,778. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody? And we're using the free tool of Zillow, which pretty much everybody should have access to. So number one is if you can get that real estate agent to pull comps for you, okay, then you can go ahead and do that. And it's a little bit easier. Just make sure that they understand what they're doing. Make sure that they're pulling comps, especially if they're new. Make sure they're pulling the after repair value of houses that are inside your inside the half-mile radius and that are renovating. If they don't do that, all the numbers are going to be wrong. They're going to be off. But if you can go ahead and make sure that you can't get that done from them, if you don't have a real estate agent you can do that from, what we just showed you will allow you to get yourself in a ballpark, okay? So this is going to be our after repair value, okay? So Lex, you said what was the value? What do you mean by that, Lex? Let me take you off mute.
I got it.
You got it?
The
Okay.
last house. Yeah, I got it.
I'm sorry, I just didn't,
No
just
problem.
not seeing the chat there. Okay. All right. So let me go back to here. We're going to go ahead and kind of get ready to go into how do we find that MAL. So you guys remember I was talking about MAL, right? We're talking about the MAL, the maximum allowable offer. So what was that number again? I forgot the number. What was it? 1134 times 267. 302,778. I'm just going to put it at 302. All right. So at 300, our $302,000 evaluation, clear all drawings. So that's what our after repair value is. Okay. So we got our after repair value of our subject property as $302,000. $302K. All right, so here's where the math formula comes into play, okay? And it changes, and it could change depending on where you're at, because I don't know, I'm assuming everybody's here in the Georgia area, but I might be wrong. There might be some people that are outside of the Georgia area, so, or the Atlanta area. But if you can find a property that gives the end investor 30% profit margin, okay? If you can find a house that after they buy it from you, they pay all the fees that are included with it, as far as closing costs, they renovate it, and they can sell it at the point where they can take that last point where they bought it, renovated it, and then make an additional 30%. Most of the time, you can find a buyer for that house. As the markets tighten up, we're seeing in the market right now, the market is tightening up because everybody's ready for this impending recession. It's going to be probably happening late 2019, early to mid 2020. We're starting to see that people want 35 or 40%. Okay. But still, there are some times now, there's some investors, and there's plenty of investors out there that if you can give them 30% profit, they'll buy it. What do I mean by that? Just ignore this ARV for right now. I just want to draw this real quick. That means if you have an ARV that is, just for sake of math, 100K, okay, they want to be all in. They purchased it from you, they paid for closing costs, and they are renovated the property for $70,000, right? 30, it's simple math at this point, right? 30% of 100, you take out 30%, they leave $70,000. That means in this particular equation, they would have a gross $30,000 profit, right? So we need to figure out how to do that with our current property, our subject property. So we said our subject property's ARV is $302,000. So it's a simple math equation. We're going to do our ARV times 0.7. Let me get this out of the way. 0.7. So let me just grab this slide. So I'm gonna do it here. So 302,000. Make sure if you guys can do this, do it while you can. 302,000 times 0.7 gives you $211,400. Right? So our investors all in 211K. 211 actually 400. You guys can do that math with me. All you're doing is putting in 302,000 times decimal 0.7, right? What that does is that gives you the end amount. Or you could just go 302,000 minus 30%, and it'll give you the exact same number, okay? Now, here's where our part was. We're gonna get into this in another class. We're gonna get into how do we understand this section right here, because the other part is the repair costs. So once we get into this, this is the investors all in. That means they want to be all into this thing for 211, and then they're going to make the difference between 211 and 302, what they feel like they can sell it for. Does that make sense to everybody? So that's where their profit margin is. But they're all in. That means they have to repair the house, because this is what? After repair value. So they're going to have to spend some of this $211,000 is going to repairs. So now from this 211, we have to subtract our repair costs. So let's just say the house was tore up, and we went into the house and we said that the house is going to take $75,000 to repair. So for this particular instance, we're just this hypothetical situation, it costs $75,000 to repair. Okay, so now I'm just going to take my 211,400 minus 75,000, and that's going to give me 136,400. Okay, so they want to be all in for this, because if they can get all of this, they can make 30% profit, and they can pocket the difference between 211 and 4 and 302. But they still got to fix the house up. So how much are my repairs going to cost? It's going to cost me $75,000 to repair. So I got to subtract the $75,000 for this number. This is what they want to purchase it from me from. They want to buy it from me. If all these numbers are correct, they're going to buy it from me for $136,400. Or the contract that I'm going to assign them is going to be for 136, because I'm not really buying it. Remember that no money's coming out of my pocket. Okay. So if they're going to buy it off of my contract, remember that very first whiteboard that I was showing you guys, right? If that's the contract that they're purchasing it for, right? I can't have it under contract for $136,400 and make any money if they're going to buy it from $136,400. I have to have it under contract for less than this number in order for me to make any money, right? So if I'm going to make any money, I got to have it for less. So let's just say you want to make $10,000. Let's say you're trying to make an extra $10,000 a month. Okay. Well, then your maximum allowable offer would be $126,400. Does that make sense? Because you're going to do the difference between what you get under contract for and how much you sell it to the end investor. Let's say if you want to make $20,000, then you're going to get it. You're going to put it under. You get it, $16,400. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, this is the part where you have to, this is the part where when we get later on into negotiations, this is where you can make your money, or you can make a lot of money, you can make a little bit of money, right? It's part negotiations and part the person that you found, their situation. But right now, if you want to make $10,000, you know that you need to get them to 126. So all you're going to do is you're going to subtract how much money you want to make. How much money is worth your time? Some of you might say, man, I'll do this thing for $3,000. $3,000? Cool, I'll do it, right? That might be cool with you. Most people, most of the time I try to tell people at least make $10,000 in the Atlanta market, okay? In the Atlanta market. So I'm going to subtract how much money I want to make, and obviously that's going to give me 126.4, okay? So this is what equals my MAO, maximum allowable offer to my seller. So my seller is basically, if this goes through and we sign a contract, my seller has agreed to take, $126,400. When they go to the closing table, they want to see a check for 126.4, and then we can go into some of the minutia of different things. Sometimes they have taxes they have to pay and whatever, but we're just going to keep it just nice and simple for right now. They want to see a check for 126,400 go to them. Whatever they say above that, they don't care. They've already accepted the fact that they want to make 126.4. So if I can negotiate and sell this property for 156,000, well, I just made $30,000. If I can only negotiate it and sell it for 127,400, well, I just made $1,000. So it's up to me to figure out my profit right here. This is right here, my profit. Okay, my profit. So this is where we make our money. This is how we make our money as wholesalers, okay? But as you noticed before, all the numbers were based off of this. You gotta have this. If you don't have this, you can't figure out what this is. And then you can figure out what this is, but you won't know where to subtract it from. So then there's no way that you can come up with a solid. You can guess, and you might get lucky every once in a while. But you're most likely not going to guess correctly. And most of the time, you're either going to cost yourself money or you're not going to get the deal. Okay? So I've rambled on now for about 51 minutes here. I want to make sure, I want to kind of open this thing up for questions. Anybody have any questions at all? Let me see who's on here. All right, hold on. Let's see what we got here. What was the... Thanks, Ty. No problem. Thank you, Lex. All right. Any questions on this? How we get this number? Don't be shy. This is what we're here for. I want to make sure that you understand this. If everybody understands it, just put just give me like a thumbs up or a yes, and then I'll move on. Actually, this is pretty much it for today because this is a lot of stuff. Okay. Cool. All right. So I never want to leave you guys without some homework. All right, without some homework. So there's this seems simple because I just did it, right? It seems really simple because I just did it. You're going to find out real quick. They're like, oh, well, his properties were right here and there, right? Well, what if they're farther out? What if they're this? All I want you to do until we meet up again next Wednesday, all I want you to do, I need you guys to go out. I'm going to keep it very, very simple. We do something called D for D, right? Called driving for dollars, okay? Driving for dollars. I just need you guys between today and next Wednesday when we meet up, I need you to do something very, very simple. I just need you to go find 5 vacant properties, wherever you're living at. I don't know if everybody's in the Atlanta area or Georgia. I don't know where everybody's out, but I need you to find 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5th, right? 5 vacant properties. And I want you to do this process, okay? So I want you to get your subject property. So this is literally how I do it, right? I'm gonna get my subject property. I put S with a circle around it. And let's just say it's 123 Main Street, right? 123 Main. And then, so that's my subject property. And I'm gonna find out on my subject property, I'm gonna write down how many bedrooms, how many baths, and square footage. So I'm gonna say it's a 3-1, and it's 1,252 square feet, right? So that's my subject property. And then I'm gonna put comp 1, I'm just gonna put 1, and this will be, 321 Main Street. And then it'll be comp 2, and it'll be, 567 Main Street or whatever, right? And then comp 3. So you're gonna have to find 3 comps, right? But you need the address of the comp, and you need the bedroom bath configuration, and most importantly, the square footage and the sale price. Remember, you're gonna have all that information on Zillow. So you're gonna do this for 5 properties. So 5 subject properties, and for every one subject property, you're gonna have 3 comps, right? So if you have 5 subject properties, that means you're gonna find 15 comps overall, right? So 3 for each subject property, okay? 5 subject properties, and then 3 comps for each subject property. And this is going to get you in the habit of being able to do this stuff. It's going to get you in the habit of being able to find out what the ARV is. Going to bring up a lot of questions, a lot of things like, oh, well, he said this, but I didn't see this here. It's going to have a lot of questions, and that's what we need. We need you guys to start asking questions, because right now you don't know what you don't know. And so some of us don't know what questions to ask, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong. I was the same exact way, but I want you guys to get this stuff because I need you guys. I need you guys to succeed in this, because you and your dreams and your families are worth it. So I need you guys to get this information so that you can make some money, so we can change our legacy, right? So 5 properties for each subject property. You're going to find 3 comps, and then you're going to do all that math that we just did right here. Okay, we're going to do all of this, and I need you to find out and give me the ARV for your subject property. Now, mind you, keep in mind, don't take this lightly, because one of these 5 properties could be a deal, right? Because you're not just finding just random properties. You're going to find vacant properties that you can look at, and you can say, okay, the windows are busted out on this one, or the grass is high, or maybe not the grass right now in this time of year, but you could just tell there's a lot of telltale signs. We're going to talk about how to find some of these properties. But it's a vacant property. It's an ugly property. You can just look at it and say no one's living in there. So you find that house, that might be a deal. So take this seriously and try to find the ARV for that particular property. All right. You guys have any other questions? Let me stop my screen here. Any questions? No. Cool. All right, family. Man, I really appreciate you guys spending some time with us, man. I do. This is my passion. I love doing this stuff. I love teaching this stuff. Make sure you guys are in the real estate group. Get out there, ask questions. I do my best. I'm super busy. I'm running my own business, and now freaking Tide and turned me on to freaking trading and crap. So now I'm doing that too, or trying to do that. I want you guys to succeed. I really do, man. I love teaching this, guys. I love you guys, man. I want you guys to succeed. So make sure you put the work into this, and I guarantee you it'll pay out. One last thing, I'm gonna close out with it. We're getting ready to hit the hour mark here. One last thing is, a lot of people ask me, how quickly can this work, right? I've had, a lot of people make money off of this, but I've been teaching this now for since I think first started teaching this in September, when I started teaching this. And since September until now, we've probably had about 17 or 18 people that are actually, that are listening to what I'm telling them to do and actually are making money, right? Out of those, I'm gonna call it 17. Out of those 17 people, I've had 3 people that have closed the deal within their first 30 days. So why am I telling you this? Okay. One person closed it for $12,500. One person closed it for $10,500. And the other guy, he kept it. He got a duplex somewhere in South Carolina for $6,000. Okay. So he kept that one for himself because he wanted to rent it out. Right. So why am I telling you this? Because they are the anomaly. Okay. My job as your coach, my job is to not just teach you this stuff and let you go out there and just do it. My job is also to protect your heart and your spirit. I promise you, this real estate game will break your heart because you'll get right to the close. I've been sitting at the closing table ready to get my check, and it doesn't close. You need to know that before you get into this game. Okay, so I don't want everybody thinking I'm not the type of person that's want to sell you this hoop dream. I want to be real with you. Okay, so in this game, you most likely are not going to make $10,000, $20,000 in your first 30 days. Most likely it's not going to happen. Some people are going to lie to you and tell you that this is so easy and you can do this. It's not that it's difficult. It's just that it takes momentum. This is a momentum game, just like Caleb was talking about when he was speaking a couple of days ago. It took him 6 months. For me, it took me 5.5 months to get my first deal. But once that momentum starts going, people start to know who you are and what you do. And hey, maybe I can take this property to Lex. Maybe I take this property to Taylor or Cam. You start to get your name out there, okay? And we're gonna do things. I'm gonna push you guys in this course to get your name out there so deals can start coming to you. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't have to go out and look for a lot of deals. Most of my deals just come to me because people know that I do it and they just bring it to me. Just like if you own a bakery, right? And people know that you're a baker, when someone's getting married, they're just gonna say, hey, you need to go see her or see him. That's kind of how this game is. But this is what I want you to get your mind wrapped around. If you can prepare yourself mentally and spiritually to work 20 extra hours on your business, 20 extra hours on your business per week for the next 6 months with zero expectations of getting paid, zero expectations of getting paid, that you're only working on the process, you will get paid. I promise you will get paid. If you do 5 hours, 5 hours a week, you're probably not going to accumulate enough momentum to get things going. All right. So I don't want to sell you a pipe dream. This takes work, but I promise you, this thing can change your life. This thing can change your life. Like I'm doing on average, on the low end, 3 deals a month. All right. And they're all somewhere between the least I'll do is like about $5,000. Most of the time they're between $10,000 to $15,000. Okay. All right. And it's all because the momentum is just rolling. It's just rolling. It just keeps coming in. So if you want to make some of that money, give yourself the shot, give yourself the chance that you're going to put in the work for at least 6 months. People go to college for 4 freaking years, get their master's for 2, and they don't make half the money I make, right? You know, they're not making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 every single month, right? And I'm small. I'm telling you, I'm not even close. Like my mentor is making $200,000 a month, every single month. His mentor is making $1 million a month doing this stuff that I'm teaching you right now. But they've been in the game longer. They're just rolling. They're just going. I promise you, stick with it. Learn this trade. Learn this process, and you can do it. All right? So that's enough of me rambling, man. I get excited about talking about this stuff because it's going to change your life. But take this course. Rewatch this thing. If you have questions, put it in the I keep calling it a group meet. Put it in the Telegram joint, and let's make this money. All right? Peace. Love y'all, guys.